and he played well that day.
Too right, it was the last 32 as well, so both players were embedded into the tournament. White coming through 4-2. Arguably, in terms of how big a name Trump is, White's best victory last season.
He played very well to lead 3-0. I commentated on it, and then it did get edgy. I mean, the last frame was a bit of a fall over the line job, but the fact is he got the job done. Trump was disappointing. I'm sure he'll remember that match last season, because he was heavy favourite to win it. But anyway, he's played well so far. He played well in his first match. And he's still justifiably the favourite, not only in this match, but in this group.
Overall, head-to-head wise, White trails Trump 4-1.
Oh, that was so well cued. The control to hold for black as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Judd has been necessarily practicing every day since he lost at the Crucible. Why would he? But he looks sharp today so far. We've seen in this tournament the really great players, the likes of Mark Williams was one, Karen Wilson, the top players. Even if they haven't been slaving away on the practice table, it doesn't seem to take long for them to find something. They both played really well to win their groups. And Trump has always supported this Championship League in the various formats it's had. It's a tournament he likes playing in. It's a good way to tune up. And it's an opportunity, of course, to win a ranking title. And speaking of which, Judd Trump has won 23 in total so far. Our competition question. So this is to win 2 tickets to the day Judd Trump plays at the Champion of Champions in Bolton in November. What was his first ranking title? So what was Judd Trump's first ranking title? Send your answers to the official Championship League Twitter account at CL Snooker. That's at CL Snooker. And we will reveal the winner and the answer this evening.
$22.
It's another tournament he likes, isn't it? The Champion of Champions made a maximum in the final last year against Ronnie O'Sullivan,
23.
albeit in a losing cause.
Yes, and during the previous match,
30.
Sue Sir and Jimmy White, Matchroom actually published the qualifying schedule for the Champion of Champions.
31.
The qualifying criteria, that is. And while White is looking good to play as the World Seniors Champion, he's not guaranteed yet.
No, of course, there's some tournaments coming up, as a couple of new tournaments as well, or returning tournaments. Certainly the Wuhan Open is a new tournament in China. But of course, Trump won the Masters, so that's one of the big tournaments. So he'll be there.
$39.
Played that great final, didn't he, with Neil Robertson, where there were 8 centuries, and then he did 2 years ago win the Champion of Champions. He beat John Higgins in the final.
For a number of years, Dave, that 16-player field had to be augmented by players off the rankings.
45.
There weren't 16 winners. One of the reasons, the likes of Judd Trump winning multiple tournaments. I think there's going to be 16 winners in the field this time. Maybe a few of them will miss out.
Yes, I mean, when Trump was winning all those tournaments every season, of course, that opened up places.
53.
But it's hard to keep doing that. think last season overall would have been a disappointment for him, even though he did win the Masters, which is a huge tournament. Obviously, his form sort of dipped a little after that. He could have won the World Grand Prix the following week, probably should have done. But then the results were hard to come by, and of course he did lose first round at the Crucible to Anthony McGill. But all that's gone. He's had a good
60.
rest, and you know he'll be challenging again for silverware this season. He starts at number 4 in the world.
61.
Now this is the crucial shot. Very nice angle off the blue. Is he a little concerned that if he hits the pink, he might just knock in a red at the same time, which would be potentially expensive? That's why he played it slowly, and ultimately that's why he's out of position.
66.
Frame not over yet, still 75 available. And certainly after what happened here in that WST Classic, losing to Jimmy White, he's not going to take any liberties here, Trump. Yeah, there was value in the double, the way he played it.
67.
So if he can roll this black in, it's surely 1-0 to him. Exactly what he's done. So he's looking good here already in this group.
74.
He finished off against Rhian Evans with a century in his first match a little earlier, but in terms of its compilation, I think this break has been a little better. Excellent.
Yeah, he'd love to keep the break going, just looking for a plant in the cluster. Surely not. Well, it seems unfair when you're that good, but there you are. Yeah, I mean, it's on another day, you know, he could have, the red running around the table, it could have knocked a colour in or something, but on a day like today when he's playing well, that red, it glanced off the brown and went in the corner. But he has missed the brown, so the break ends.
75.
Swift 75 from Judd Trump. Jimmy White stays in his seat, so Trump already 1-0 up. So, perfect record for Judd Trump so far today. Played 4 frames, won 4 frames. He leads Jimmy White here 1-0 in this clash of the entertaining left-handers from different eras. I think sometimes, and I think we saw this back half of last season, you just can, if things aren't going well, and before now, of course, they've gone really well for Trump, but if you just start getting a couple of disappointing mistakes, you're not quite in the right frame of mind. He had a very tough draw at the Crucible against McGill, probably the toughest he could have had really in round one. Of course, was beaten, but just some of the things he was saying, you know, he wanted a break and all that stuff. He didn't augur too well for the World Championship.
I think that's what they term a good cue ball.
Well, Jimmy, I'm sure will think the snooker gods have got it in for me now after what happened with that pink in the last match. Could easily have been left with something to go at here.
You know, Dave, I came in very early into the arena this morning, got some stuff to write for Snooker Scene magazine. I'd got some research to do, a couple of phone calls to make, and in order to get to our work position, you have to walk right past the practice tables. It was maybe 25 past 9. Walked in, heard some balls being potted. I thought, someone's keen. It was Jimmy White.
Well, it's like Al McManus says. He said, you know, 30 years ago you'd never see Jimmy in a practice room, and now you never see him out of it. Incredible dedication he has. But I did feel in that first match, he was almost like he was too excited to be playing again. He seemed a bit anxious, and maybe that contributed to the errors. Maybe now he's had a match under his belt, he will just calm down a bit and start to play. He's played a good shot there. He knows against Trump your safety's got to be so good. He's such a phenomenal long potter.
I actually imparted a little bit of bad news for Jimmy, because I was telling him that he looks okay for the Champion of Champions, although there's no guarantees, and he was under the impression he was in. I think he probably will be, but he needs some repeat winners over the course of the first third of the season.
Yeah, and this event's always wide open, isn't it? This one you feel could be won by maybe someone who hasn't won a tournament before. But then again, someone like Mark Williams or Karen Wilson, who aren't in the Champion of Champions, you know, they could win it. Now, he has forced the error. It's just a question now what he has to go at. A lot of reds are covering one another. Yeah, and also there's a red run right on into bulk, which just sort of stops the natural safety just playing down to bulk. So again, that's not really landed too good for Jimmy White, really, considering what he could have been left there. Taking this on, I think, to the green pocket. Yeah, he was sort of forced into that, and again, Trump's had a bit of running, really, to leave White in an awkward spot where he felt he was forced into taking a pot on, and of course, naturally, as Trump comes to the table, he has a much easier starter.
One.
Really do hope that Judd Trump has a really good season, because
7.
he's wonderful to watch. He's got star quality, and he plays the game in a very attractive manner.
8.
He is rather unorthodox. He sights the ball in his own unique way, and I think he's dependent on coordination and confidence. Maybe that wasn't there last season, but But of course, as confidence can go, it can just as quickly come back.
Yeah, I mean, he played really well, didn't he, in the invitation version of this last season, but obviously no crowds here. Maybe the minute his confidence sort of suffered, and the fact that, you know, he's expected to entertain people. That's one of the burdens, if you like, that's been put on him, just as Jimmy throughout his career has had that expectation. The fact it wasn't quite working maybe contributed to how he was feeling. It did look at one stage like, I mean, he became world number one and was world champion, of course, like he had sort of conquered all, but the old guard, the class of 92, just refused to go anywhere. I mean, just last year, 2022, Trump got to the semis again at the Crucible, and who were the other three? Ronnie O'Sullivan, John Higgins and Mark Williams. So by now he may have expected to have seen them off, but they're still there. Alongside the likes of Luca Brissell and Mark Selby and Neil Robertson and the other key challengers to the major titles.
Yes, and of course, someone who's regarded as a rival of Trump's, Kyron Wilson. I think he's going to have a good campaign as well. Now, this is quite tricky. Easy to hit the far jaw here. Oh, well played. Well played indeed. One thing I think that's very much in Trump's favour, he always seems to excel on Rasson tables. As you say, in the invitation version of the Championship League. Now he's here with ranking points at stake, and the Champion of Champions is also played on these tables.
54.
They're very responsive, very quick, and I think they suit his game down to the ground.
Yeah. And for a first day back, this is impressive stuff. He's had that little bit of running as well when he played the safety that looked like it might let Jimmy White in. In the end, he wasn't left with anything easy at all.
61.
So this red
67.
and snookers are required. Only one at the moment without a colour. So we'd like to cut this black in.
And loss of this frame basically means that
75.
Jimmy White's eliminated.
$76. $79. $80.
The race is on to 1,000 centuries. Ronnie O'Sullivan, of course, has already got there. It's a three-way race between John Higgins, Neil Robertson and Judd Trump. He's made 902. Robertson just a few fewer actually, just
87.
below 900, and John Higgins about 940. So he's the favourite, but we'll see who gets there.
88.
Well, a few more tournaments this season. I'll tell you what, if he starts to fire, he could find the extra 98 in this campaign. It's an outside chance, but not impossible.
Done it before, hasn't he? Him and Robertson have both made 100 centuries. Now, to make one here, he needs a trick shot. Not quite, but 95 is a frame-winning break, and Judd Trump firmly on top here, leading Jimmy White by 2 frames to 0. 2-0 to Judd Trump. This is the final match in this session on table 1. And of course, he's already won 3-0 against Ryan Evans. He's leading Jimmy White here. Jimmy lost 3-0 to Schuster, and Schuster plays Trump last on tonight. But Trump could well go into that with the perfect record. 2-0 to Jamie Clark in the second match on table 2 against Andy Lee. The first was a 2-2 draw between Joe Perry and Stuart Carrington. So Perry against Lee will be the final match. I'm sure we will see plenty of that later. Well, Jimmy White's had a bit of a frustrating time of it. Let's see if things can change here. Well, that could have been a lot worse. He flicked the red, but it sent the cue ball back to baulk. We'll do the competition question again if you weren't with us earlier on. This is for 2 tickets to the day Judd Trump plays his group at the Champion of Champions. The tournament is the 13th to the 19th of November. Oh, he's had a touch here, by the way. He's had a touch. Seems a little bit blessed today. Anyway, the competition question is, Judd Trump's won 23 ranking titles. Which was the first of them? So what was his first ranking title success? Send the answer to the official Championship League Twitter account, at CL Snooker. That's at CL Snooker. We'll announce the winner this evening.
Yeah, 2 tickets for his group in the Champion of Champions. We don't know when that will be, but we do know it's either Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday of the week up in Bolton. Then they play the 2 semi-finals, Friday and Saturday, and the grand final on the Sunday. Could be logistically difficult for the organisers because the International Championship, at an as yet unknown venue in China, finishes the night before the Champion of Champions starts. Well, that's more like it. And then again, look what happened. Trump's getting some good luck. The only luck that White is getting is bad. Mind you, it is day 13 of the Bet Victor Championship League. I'll tell you what, he might have fallen victim to the table there. Judd Trump did in his first match. This, when you play them slowly, has a tendency to go uphill. And from White's expression, I think the pink did.
Not his favourite ball. He missed it, of course, to win the third frame, extend the match earlier against Schuster. Possibly could have got a draw there. Well, this time he's not been punished. Of course, this is the final week of the first stage, so we've got the remaining sort of big hitters coming in. Sean Murphy and Barry Hawkins are the 2 seeds tomorrow. Dave Gilbert, former winner, on Thursday. We'll see Gary Wilson and Ricky Walden on Friday, and then next week we're into stage 2, winners week. All the group winners come back. A week on Friday, stage 3 ends in a knockout final. I say ends, of course. Last year Stuart Bingham and Ricky Walden were still playing a group match after the final.
Granite comes to mind.
Could have done without that kiss on the yellow, really. A bit of an ordeal this today. Jimmy White not getting the little kind of nudges that help.
Jimmy White, 7.
Looks a little dispirited to me.
I think this is the paradox. You know, when he was at his best 30 years ago, he was maybe accused of being a bit casual about the big occasions.
1.
Now, even in a match, you know, which is a little low-key, a qualifier or here in a group match, he seems to put absolutely everything into it, builds them up. That was certainly the case in the first match, I think. Builds them up so much, and maybe that's just putting him on edge a little bit.
Tell you what, Dave, there was some edgy snooker here yesterday.
6.
Boy, both groups. Whole gamut of emotions were on display.
Well, I was delighted for Holty. Obviously coming in late with Ronnie O'Sullivan withdrawing.
Well, it was a remarkable journey to top the table. He made a 1-3-4 break in his first match, overcoming Scott Donaldson. Then he lost to Rod Lawler, and he genuinely thought he'd blown his chance. He got a face like thunder when I saw him backstage. Came out against Alfie Bird, and early in the first frame, he absolutely walloped a blue off the table that reeked of frustration. But Burden missed the yellow in the opening frame. Holt cleared up. Burden missed the last red down the side rail in the second frame. Holt cleared up, and then Michael dominated the third. And that was good enough.
That was a nice little cluster to go into.
60.
He's always been a player. You know, Judd Trump wants the balls
70.
out in the open early on. He doesn't want to be picking them off. That's always been his style. Hence the the amount of centuries he's made, over 900. Because one thing's for sure, whether he's the second player to get to 1,000 or not, we'll see. But he'll certainly be the youngest. Perhaps for some time.
24.
Just a question then of whether he can now complete victory at this visit. We'll have a long wait then till the last match against you, sir. It'll be roughly, I guess, about 8 o'clock tonight, depending on how the matches are beforehand.
Yesterday, Nopon Sankar won his first 2 matches, looked good in doing so. Not as good as this, but pretty good. And
38.
he had that lengthy wait that Dave has just described. What followed was
39.
high drama. He just needed a draw against Mark Davis to top the group. The last 3 frames of that match were all decided on the black. Davis was 1-0 down, cleared up twice to go 2-1 up.
46.
But in the end, the 4th frame fell to Sankar by the narrowest possible margin.
47.
.46 in front, a couple more red should do it. It's been comprehensive, as the first match was against Rhian Evans. And it's going to be
55.
over to you, sir, tonight to stop this man coming back next week. Pink then for the perfect start. 2 3-0s for Judd Trump. He's a player who certainly enjoys himself away from the table, but he's very dedicated, of course, in the prime of his career, to more success
62.
as this new season gets underway. Referees don't mind his matches, do they? Julian Bell here is
60.
barely broken sweat. It's been very quick.
70.
So he made 95 in the last. He didn't get on the penultimate red to make the century, but this looks a better chance.
$77. $78.
And being a veteran of the Championship League, Trump's well aware that a big century here could be very valuable indeed. Let's just extrapolate. If
85.
Zhu Se were to beat Rhian Evans 3-0 also, they'd be entirely level.
86.
But if Trump has already set the high break at a very high bar, then a draw, more than likely, against Zhu Se would be enough.
93. $95.
Yeah, he's not looking at all rusty. He's played well, and for the second match in succession, he's surely going to win the
98.
clinching frame with a century. Good stuff here from Judd
102.
Trump. So reverses the defeat he suffered to Jimmy White here at the Morningside in Leicester at the WSD Classic a few months back.
107.
Pretty miserable session for Jimmy White,
113.
losing all 6 frames. It's the opposite for Trump, who's completed his second successive 3-0 victory, 120 clearance to complete it. So Judd Trump, clearly the man to beat in this group. He's got a break, of course, until he comes back later this evening